What is that? What is that? What is it?
They're eating her. Well, that wouldn't do at all.
Oh, no, not the fish.
And then they're going to eat me.
This isn't plans 1 through 8 from outer space.
Not the fish.
This is plan 9.
Oh, hi, Marc.
This is the one that worked.
You gotta tear me apart, Lisa. Exterminate all man
I'll have my revenge, and Death Stalker too.
I don't think you're pretty anymore.
Probably not a good thing, but I didn't do any sort of introduction or preparation for this miniseries that we're doing.
Oh, man.
I mean, what do you really say about horror comedies?
They're amazing.
Yeah.
They blend the lines so well. Like,
When they're done well, they work.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think I thought of a good way to transition into this. So, welcome to Bad Movie Date Night, the podcast in which we take a serious look at bad films and genre films, and we hopefully give them the credit they deserve. And sometimes we talk about dating. I am Nigel from ajourneyintofilm.com, and with me is my wonderful wife, Kaitlyn.
Hello.
This week, we are talking about the 1982 film Pandemonium, which has a very large cast of characters in it.
A great cast.
It is a great cast. It's got Tom Smothers, Carol Kane, Candace Azara, and I don't like that I didn't write these down. Debra Lee Scott, Miles Chapin. Oh, I knew I was going to ruin that. Marc McClure, Paul Reubens. There are so many people in this. And you know what? This movie went under the radar. I feel like I had not heard of it until I bought it. And we also didn't realize that it was a comedy until about, 5-10 minutes into it?
It was a blind buy?
Yes.
I don't know why I thought we watched it on the streaming services.
I saw that Judge Reinhold was in it, and the description for it was fantastic, and Paul Reubens and everybody else. And I said, well, that sounds like a fun time.
It's
and
a
then
good blind buy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely worth it. Have not regretted a single blind buy yet from the good old Vinegar Syndromes.
Mostly.
Which ones did you like?
None that we've talked about on our podcast or our podcast related.
So this movie is kicking off the beginning of our next miniseries where we are going to talk about horror comedies. I can't remember how many episodes ago it was, but we did Sorority Babes and the Slime Ball Bolorama. And we asked the question, how do you know if a movie is a horror comedy or a bad movie? Especially with some of these 80s movies that we were talking about. The line between the two is very thin.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
And even some horror comedies can fall flat. Mm-hmm. I can't name any off the top of my head right now.
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving's a weird...
No, it's a horror comedy.
Is a weird bird.
And they did it bad.
But it's like they were trying to make a bad movie.
Yes, but in trying to make a bad movie, they made an actual bad film that is unwatchable.
Right. But I don't know if I would call it a horror comedy. I don't know.
A killer turkey? Come on.
I don't know. Honestly, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, that's kind of a satire. Well. I don't love the first one.
Okay.
There are some jokes in the first one that I like, but I think Return of the Killer Tomatoes is way better.
I do like Return of the Killer Tomatoes more. Return of the Killer Tomatoes.
You know, some good modern examples of the horror comedy. We're big fans of the movie Ready or Not. Mm-hmm. Growing up, I enjoyed some of the scary movies, some of those in that franchise.
Never watched those.
I showed you like 5 minutes of one that Lindsay Lohan was in with Charlie Sheen. That was painful to share with you. All that to say, that's kind of what we're exploring this week. And thanks to everybody who voted in our online poll on Instagram. I don't think anybody voted on Twitter.
Nobody uses Twitter.
Nobody cares about us on Twitter. And next week, we're going to be talking about Ghoulies.
Ooh.
So we heard what our audience wanted. Hopefully, all 9 people who voted are going to listen. We'll find out. Or I don't even think 9 people voted, but hopefully everybody who voted is going to listen to that episode.
Ghoulies.
You should
I'm so excited.
Make a theme song for it. And then the week after that, we're going to have our horror comedy extravaganza special.
Woo!
We're going to bring some guests on here, some secret guests. And we're going to chat. And we're going to ask the question that we've been trying to solve for weeks now. Months, actually, because I think we recorded Sorority Babes like forever ago.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know the difference? How do we know that a movie is just not good, and how do we know that it's actually trying to be funny?
I still don't know if I can answer that question.
I don't think any of us can answer that question, and honestly, I don't have a whole lot of faith in our guests, but I think as a team, maybe we can figure something out.
As a team, we can do anything.
Yes. So, back to Pandemonium, the 1982 horror comedy. This movie has a lot going for it. And like I said, I don't understand why it wasn't, or why it didn't get the credit that it deserves, which I guess I'm jumping ahead on that a little bit and just sharing my opinion. The director of Pandemonium also directed a pretty popular horror movie, Alice, Sweet Alice, and he has said he had no experience in comedy whenever he was assigned to this. Alfred Soul was his name. I guess we should probably share that. The writers, Richard Whtiley, worked on Roswell, Millennium. Looks like he did a little bit of Roseanne. Just a couple like TV shows here and there. I'm sure a lot of the... and he did Rock and Roll High School. And then Jaime Barton Klein did such famous movies such as this one and Annabelle's Wish, a Christmas story about a calf that can speak. I remember seeing previews for it on something, Cartoon Network maybe, but I never watched it. And that's all I have to say about that.
So, a good career. Everyone in this movie has had a pretty solid career.
So the thing that's nice about this movie, and the director even acknowledged this in an interview, that a lot of the success of this movie stems from the people who were cast in it.
Yeah.
So you have people like Tom Smothers, who was part of the Smothers Brothers, and just a famous comedian. You had Carol Kane, which I don't know if she started doing funny stuff, but she's definitely been in a lot of funny stuff since then. She has a little bit of a taste for horror and for comedy. She's in the Muppet movie. That's fun. And just different things like that. She was in an episode of Laverne and Shirley, which is interesting because David L. Lander, who played Pepe, was in Laverne and Shirley.
He was one of the main guys on Laverne and Shirley. I think his name was Squiggy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got this. Candace Azara, she had a pretty good career. Phil Hartman, he's a famous funny guy. We know him from Jingle All the Way, which kind of ages us a little bit. Makes us seem like a bunch of millennials. He was also in Saturday Night Live. Eileen Brennan. She was in Clue. She played Mrs. Peacock, Judge Reinhold, all the Santa Claus movies, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, that movie that you keep asking me to see.
I know. We need to watch it.
Debra Lee Scott was in Mary Hartman, which we've talked about before. Miles Chapin, Howard the Duck, The People versus Larry Flint, The Funhouse.
You're naming so many people. I didn't even realize how many people were in this movie.
I know. You don't realize that there are so many people in this movie until you start looking at it.
Oh, my gosh.
And it doesn't help that IMDb has them listed in order of appearance, which makes things really difficult.
Oh, my.
Marc McClure played Jimmy Olsen in the Superman movies. He was also Dave McFly in Back to the Future. Paul Reubens, he's famous, obviously, for Pee Wee Herman. And then Eve Arden, she was a famous actress. She was in Grease. She was the principal. She was in Anatomy of a Murder. And she was in Grease 2, which we talked about on this podcast. An episode of The Love Boat. It's Edie McClurg from Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Carrie. Do I need to go on naming anybody else?
I'm bored.
You're bored. All that to say, this movie is very successful in a lot of ways because of the cast.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say most of the people in this movie, if not all of them, have some sort of background in comedy first.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Kaitlyn, what do you like about this movie?
It's so fun, and I think that the characters are like instantly like lovable, and you just really you kind of like get a good sense of who they are in a very short time frame.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not much depth to them, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they're like super in-depth like people, but you can just tell like what you're getting into very quickly when you meet the characters, and you can kind of see like an arc that's going to reoccur. And I think that was good. And I think that the movie everyone plays well off each other, if that makes sense.
Yeah, everybody has their sort of like their caricature that they play in the whole group, and they stick to it, and it really works well when they all kind of bounce off of each other.
Exactly, yeah.
I love Glenn and Mandy.
They're
when
my favorite.
They're all flirty with each other, but the only thing that they really have in common is blonde hair, and they kind of look good.
Right.
And
I love the scene where she goes to jump off the balance beam thing or the trampoline, and he doesn't catch her.
oh yeah. There's lots of slapstick in this one.
I
There's lots
enjoy a good
of
slapstick.
There's lots of clever wordplay. At one point, some of the characters are sitting around in a circle, and they're saying things like, "Hey, Sandy, want some candy? Some candy'd be dandy." And they just keep going around because a joke in the movie is that all of the characters have names that rhyme with Andy.
Yeah.
Even one of the characters is Andy.
Right. You want me to list them for you?
Can you list them?
All right, let's see. Bambi is the cheerleading coach.
Yes.
And then we have Mandy, Sanny, Candy. We have Randy, Andy, and Glenn, Dandy.
Yeah. Glenn Dandy, the only one whose first name doesn't rhyme with Andy. It's a great joke in the movie.
It was, I think it made me laugh so hard the first time I watched it, and I even chuckled the second time. It was so funny. I think I don't know. They just, maybe it's just my type of humor, but I think this movie is hilarious, and everything kind of like just plays so well. Even the scene of House of Bad Pies. I mean, it's such a like
weirdly love that
I
scene,
love that
but
scene.
it makes it like it doesn't add
it doesn't
anything
add
to the movie.
anything. but it's so enjoyable. It's so enjoyable.
The do you have a favorite scene in the entire movie?
As much as the scene, like, I hate the scene, I also, like, weirdly love it, and I can't explain why, so don't ask. I like when Mandy's brushing her teeth.
Like when she gets killed?
Yeah. I don't know why.
With the toothbrush drill?
Yeah.
And oh yeah, it's gross.
I know. But like, I don't know. I literally, that scene disgusts me because she's like, she puts so much freaking toothpaste on her toothbrush, and then she like,
it is a comical, cartoonish amount of toothpaste on her mouth.
I don't know. I don't know why. Actually, no. Okay. I think my favorite scene though is just the introduction of all of them at their homes.
Yes.
That was great. I think that's what I would say my favorite scene is.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite scene?
I kind of like when Candy is introduced and the mom says something like what does she say? She says like everyone wants to see your
dirty pillows.
Your dirty pillows. And she says, those aren't dirty pillows, Mom. They're breasts.
Oh, that was a good scene. And you get introduced to her weird power.
Yeah. So Candy is like
the skewer scene too. Okay.
Candy is kind of a spoof on Carrie in that she has these like weird psychic powers. And of course she kind of saves the day. Well, not really saves the day because everyone's dead at that point.
Right.
Except for her and Pepe and his mother, Salt. Was there anything about the movie that you didn't like?
Honestly, no. I can't think of anything. I guess maybe like I think they could have done the death scene of the killer a little bit better.
Where he gets run over by the statue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm not upset about it. I guess if I just had to pick something, that would be the one thing.
For me, this is a huge nitpick.
Right.
And, like, honestly, I love this movie. It does a lot of things really well.
Yes.
And it's consistently funny. But if I had to pick something to nitpick about, it's a lot of things just feel like moments and they don't feel like connective scenes.
That's true.
Like, you kind of have these two different plots going on. One with the sheriff who, well, he's not really a sheriff. He's a Mountie, Cooper, with his partner Johnson, and what was the horse's name?
Bob.
And Bob the horse, where they're trying to hunt down this killer. We can explain that a little bit more in a second. And then you have the plot of this cheerleader camp where all the cheerleaders are getting knocked off. And it's kind of like a last-minute thing where they kind of come back together, even though they kind of overlap once before, but not in any sort of, I don't know, it doesn't really add much to it other than just set up Cooper coming back at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So I wish that there was like a little bit more mystery and like build up to everything. Kind of like I feel like the humor in this is very similar to Clue some of the times.
Yeah.
And Clue does a really good job of setting up a mystery and revealing the clues one by one and having the red herrings, and then you have the multiple endings, which just throws more red herrings on the fire. But it plays really well and it's all cohesive. So like I said, it's a nitpick, but I think that would improve it.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I think the scene where they are in that museum, I'm not actually sure what that is, a museum?
Oh, I think it's a mausoleum.
A mausoleum? Okay. So when they're in there, it feels very disconnected from the rest of the movie.
Yeah, it feels very random. I guess in a way there's kind of like a weird third plot where so Cooper, Johnson, and Bob, they are Cooper's whole thing is that he wants to catch this cheerleader killer from 20 years before.
Right.
And then you also have this plot where a lunatic has escaped from the asylum and a prisoner has escaped from the prison. And so it kind of sets up this idea that, oh, maybe one of them is killing the cheerleaders.
Right.
But we know that they're not the ones killing it because the movie shows us them meeting up and going off somewhere together. And then, so it's kind of like the third plot that's kind of happening is like these killers and Cooper and Bob and Johnson, they get wrapped up in it and they have to go chase after them. And it's that's like the dead end to the who's killing the cheerleaders thing. Even though, here's a question. Since all of the cheerleaders start dying pretty much at the same time, Cooper doesn't really have any reason to suspect that any of them are dying. So his whole finding the cheerleader killer is just happenstance.
Yeah, because I think he makes the comment like, I'm going to go check on them to see if they're okay.
But why did he go there the first time?
To inform them about
to just warn them if there's any strange goings on. Okay. Yeah. I'm remembering that now. Kaitlyn, do you want to? We already talked a lot about bits and pieces of the plot, but do you want to try to throw out your tweet length summary of this movie? Even though it's very easy to do, I'm sure.
Okay, so this movie is about a cheerleading camp where I don't want to give anything away, so I'm going to say a mystery killer is killing off cheerleaders, and one cheerleader fights back. That's my tagline for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. You know what? Something else that I thought was really clever. You know who the murderer is in the very first shot of the movie.
Yep.
You notice that?
Oh. No, like you actually see it? I knew how you could make an inference to that.
There's a very solid clue that I thought was very clever at the very beginning of the movie. So the movie opens up after the titles on a shot of the moon, and then the shadow of a wolf howling at the moon. And as the camera pans back, it turns into a pair of hands doing a shadow puppet on the moon.
Right.
And it's a pair of hands with fingerless gloves and black fingers. Or some of his fingernails are black.
Okay.
And you're like, okay, that's spooky. We then find out that these hands belong to the quarterback of the football team. And throughout the whole scene of them in the locker room, we see that these are his hands. And then throughout the rest of the movie, anytime you see the killer like trying to reach for someone, it's the fingerless gloved hands with the black finger, with some of the fingers being black on it.
Isn't that true of one of the prisoner too?
I do not recall.
I think he has fingerless gloves as well, but I mean, you know it's not him. You know it's not the escaped criminal.
Yeah, maybe I need to pay attention to that next time.
Yeah.
Because I just saw the opening shot and then I saw the hands the rest of the movie and I said, oh, that's clever. Good job, guys. But I didn't bother to look at the hands of either the other two.
Now we got to rewatch this movie.
Yep, we're going to go watch this movie. We're going to pause it soups fast.
BRB.
You know what else was a really funny joke?
What?
That I think it was Jarrett, the escaped prisoner, was when he killed people, he turned them into furniture.
Yeah, I know. That was very funny.
Yeah.
He said I would recognize those legs anywhere.
He's like, "What are you doing, Johnson?" Looking in her drawer.
No one's gonna find this funny.
No one's gonna find this funny. How do you talk about a comedy like without and make it sound as funny as it is?
Right.
And there's really like, I don't know. It's not easy to make fun of a comedy because it's already funny.
Right. It does the job for you.
Paul Reubens apparently made this choice that his character was gonna hate the horse Bob.
I love it. Love it.
It's great. He's always complaining about the horse. There's when they pull up to the mausoleum or whatever. The horse is like sticking out of the back of the police car, which is also hilarious. And he says, "Don't listen to the radio." And Cooper says, "You can listen to the radio if you want." I just thought that was great.
And he like makes this like sour face. So funny.
Yeah. There's also nothing really notable about this movie that we can talk about.
It didn't go on to do great things.
It did not go on to do
That's
great
really
things.
sad. When did this movie come out?
1982.
I couldn't remember. 82? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, let's see. Other movies that came out in 1982. Airplane 2, the sequel. Basket Case, we just watched that. That's a fun movie to come out in 1982. The Beast Within, Blade Runner, Cat People, the remake with Natasha Kinski, Malcolm McDowell, and Annette O'Toole. Creep Show, The Dark Crystal, Death Wish 2, E.T. E.T. came out in 82. Oh, here's another good one. Eating Raoul. Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Oh, wow. Good year for a judge.
Yeah, Judge Reinhold. Good year. Friday the 13th, Part 3. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
With a cast like this, though,
The thing is that this was very early in a lot of their careers. I don't think Judge Reinhold really became popular from this.
I guess the only well-known person was the girl that played Candy.
Let me double check something real quick.
I guess like well-known out of the main cheerleaders is what I'm saying.
Yeah. She, however, was not really in anything prior to this movie. I mean, she was in When a Stranger Calls. I remember that now.
Well, I know that they basically said she has to be in this movie. That's why I thought she was famous.
Yeah. Poltergeist, Rocky 3. Yeah, I'm just going to keep reading this list, everybody.
Okay. So anyway, there's a lot of good movies
The
that came out in
Thing.
82.
Tootsie, Tron. Not many of these movies are going to be competing with Pandemonium, but...
So why do you think it didn't do well?
Let's see. It was released in theaters. I'm looking at Carol Kane still. This was released in April 2nd of 82. I don't really know what else came out around that same time. It's got a good cast. It could just be that it didn't really review very well.
How sad. What a lost opportunity right here.
I mean, right. Here's the thing. This is one of those movies that I feel like a lot of people would talk down about.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why.
Right. I think this movie is brilliant.
I think when you judge this movie for what it is, you get what it is.
Right.
And it's not like it's trying to be more or trying to be less. It's just it is a stupid, goofy, slapstick horror comedy, which
Right.
I know that's not for everybody.
Right.
And there are better comedies out there in the similar vein, but
I think
don't know.
it's very funny. I love the humor. Like I don't know what this humor is, but it is for me.
the
And I think
kind
that's
of
why I love Clue so much.
Yeah, Clue. Airplane is another similar movie where it's just played very straight, but it's also kind of goofy.
Right.
The Naked Gun movies. So if those are the movies that you enjoy, then you will probably like Pandemonium.
It's also kind of family friendly too.
It is decently family friendly.
I mean, yeah, decently family friendly.
I mean, it's PG, so I
Right.
can't think of anything
Maybe that
drastically
one's- no.
inappropriate.
There's nothing drastically inappropriate.
Yeah. I mean, even when they play strip poker, it's like,
Right.
it's not even like,
You don't see
dirty.
anything. A guy takes off a high heel shoe.
yeah. I do like the Ronald Reagan joke where Sandy, she gets out of the limo and you find
yeah.
out that it's Ronald Reagan. And she says,
Nancy may do it for
yeah,
jelly
Nancy may do
beans.
it for jelly beans, but not me.
I also like the joke that when they're in the basement in the bed and
She's like, ooh, these aren't designer sheets.
yeah, there's another joke in that scene I really like too.
Which one?
Oh, yeah.
I know the joke.
I won't share, but it's funny.
Adults only.
It's funny.
But all that to say,
'Cause
like
it's so clever.
yeah, like a Disney movie, you can watch this with your
Right.
children, and there's a little something for everybody.
Right. Like if you watch this with a child, they would have no idea what's going on or why you're laughing.
Yeah. Mandy's whole introduction is kind of funny, where her dad's like the announcer, and
Yeah.
she's like Miss Whatever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I just remembered. Glenn's dad is supposed to be somebody famous too. Who is he?
Wasn't he like a famous comedian?
I mean, name a person in this movie who wasn't a famous comedian. Shoot, where is he? I'm gonna find it. Although, of course, he can't be named like Glenn's dad or whatever. He has to be like something. Oh, there's Glenn's mom. Glenn's dad, Donald O'Connor. He was in Singing in the Rain.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
We knew that.
Yes.
I just couldn't remember.
Yep.
He's in an episode of Frasier, an episode of Tales from the Crypt. You know, we should watch Tales from the Crypt. That's a fun show.
This movie might be one of the first movies that I would like introduce somebody to.
Do you think so? Really?
Yeah.
You know what's a scene I don't like in this movie?
What?
When Bambi is in the bathtub of milk and she's eating the cookies out of it.
Yeah, I don't like that she's eating the cookies out of it.
Yeah, I don't particularly like that.
No.
But also the killer, when you find out who it is, that's pretty creepy.
Yes.
Okay, I have one more question for you, and then we can do your dating corner.
Okay.
So the first time we watched this, I don't think either of us knew it was a horror comedy.
Yeah.
At what point did you realize it was a horror comedy?
And not just a bad movie.
Correct.
I want to say probably the introductions. I don't know if that's true. I can't remember watching this movie for the first time, but I want to say the introductions.
In hindsight, I probably should have caught on to it when the wolf howling at the moon turns into the
Right.
the finger puppets. But it's when all of the cheerleaders get shish kebabbed by the
Well, that's earlier than me. I just thought that was like a stupid ploy.
I also thought it was stupid until I saw all the cheerleaders splayed out on the gurneys, and I was like, oh, I think we're in for something a little different than what we were in the mood for.
It was amazing.
And it was amazing, and we love it, and we talked about it on our podcast. And while we didn't really bring anything new or in-depth to it, I hope that this is a shining recommendation for Pandemonium.
Yeah, I really think that it's a good like first movie if you don't really like if you're uncertain of if you enjoy bad movies. I mean, it's not a bad movie at all. It's just like if you enjoy this comedy, then you might like poking fun of other bad films.
That's true, because it does spoof quite a bit like Psycho, Carrie, other movies that I can't think of. But
I think also I would recommend this movie to anyone that wants to be my friend. And then if they don't laugh at it, I'll be like, we're not meant to be friends.
this movie is a solid friend test.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, we're going to jump over to Kaitlyn's Dating Corner. That's not our new jingle yet. It's still being worked on, but I thought I would try to judge this up a little bit.
Thank you. Welcome to Kaitlyn's Dating Corner.
I need like the little chime sound, like.
Okay, so here's my dating advice. Do not date anyone that you go to camp with.
I think that's fair.
I mean, listen, I know that you're away at camp and your hormones are all like blah, 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 blah. They're all like, just date whoever you see. It is never a good idea to just date somebody that you meet at camp. Horrible. Don't do it.
Kaitlyn, have you ever
Don't
been
do
to camp? We talked about this before in the sleepaway camp, but have you ever been to camp before?
Like day camp.
Okay. Yeah, I thought that was what we talked about.
Yeah. So not real camp. But I can promise you from all the movies I've seen, you don't want to get involved in a camp romance. It only ends in death.
You know what movie
Or
definitely
heartbreak.
ends in death for those in romantic entanglements?
What?
Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah. Yes, it does.
Look no further than Sleepaway Camp.
Right.
Because
So I have strong arguments for why you shouldn't date people at camp.
who knows? Maybe that girl that you're interested in is really a dude
Yeah.
and suffering from years of trauma from their honestly abusive aunt.
Yeah. And look at, this was a TV show that we recently watched. Fear Street.
Fear Street, yeah. If you have not seen Fear Street on Netflix, I can't recommend it. But part 2, lots of death at summer camp.
Yeah.
Lots of hooking up and boning.
Yeah. Also,
All the boning.
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th, that's true. Go to summer camp, have sex, die.
Yeah. So this is why you should not date people at camp. This
Not
is
to-
great dating advice.
Not to mention, there are so many diseases outside.
Right. So
We should just how
don't
about
do it.
don't go outside?
Don't go outside. Just
Save yourself a lot of time. Don't go outside. Try online dating, and we'll see where that goes. Don't ever meet the person either.
Right. You don't know. They might have COVID.
Well, they had to step outside to see you, so just don't leave your house anymore.
Turn into Bubble Boy.
Bubble Boy. That is a weird movie that we should watch.
Oh, I was thinking it was Seinfeld.
Well, the Seinfeld episode is hilarious, but piggybacking off of this conversation that we've had before from the Seinfeld episode, we should watch Bubble Boy with Jake Gyllenhaal. You remember in
I love
Glow
Jake
when we were
Gyllenhaal.
talking about how gross mud wrestling is?
Yeah.
There's a whole mud wrestling scene with the bubble, and it's just, fill in your imagination there. It's just weird.
That sounds weird. You ready for my fun dating question?
I'm not, because I still can't think of an answer.
Well, then I tried to help you out this
I
week,
know, you
but-
did. You did.
Okay. Here's my fun dating question. What is an annoying thing, characteristic, something that your significant other would do that would just like annoy you? So like, for example, in this movie, the girl Mandy, she brushes her teeth like all the time. She pretty much just always has a toothbrush in her mouth. And it's very like, if I was dating somebody that brushed their teeth that much, I would be like, you have a problem and I am not dating you. But for me, mine would be people that use flossers outside of the bathroom. Like, I cannot tell you how many people, not you.
You mean like I do
No,
every day?
Okay. Yours is different because you walk from like the bathroom to your office to like the bathroom again. People at work just walk around with them in their pockets and just take them out mid-conversation with you and start flossing your teeth. I cannot tell you I hope nobody at work listens to this because I cannot tell you how many times I'm just sitting there having a conversation with my boss and she just pulls a flosser out of her pocket and starts flossing her teeth. And I'm like, this is not an appropriate time to do that. Do that on your own time. I do not want to watch you floss your teeth. So instantly break up with you if you do that.
I hope that this is the only episode that Aaron ever listens to.
I was trying not to say her name.
Name one person in your office that would actually listen to this, let alone
Nobody,
be
'cause they're not
remotely
cool
interested in these movies. No one.
They're all lame. Okay, so that is annoying to me. I cannot stand it.
Are you sure you're not just using this as a way to like
Air my grievance. No, it really bothers me. She's not the only one that does it. There's several people. Like, this is how popular flossers are at my job. We buy them on a weekly basis and have them just in the bathroom for people to grab. And we go through the multi-family pack by like Wednesday that week. It is an unhealthy amount of the love people have of flossers at my job, okay? It is weird. You people need to start doing that in the bathroom. Don't do it. I guess if you want to break up with someone, bring a flosser on your date and start flossing your teeth. They will dump you. All right, I'm off my... I'm so heated about this topic.
Yeah, I think... I don't know what to think, but giving you this segment has taken us into some dangerous territory.
All right, what's your pet peeve?
Actually, you know what? And this is going to be a hard one to get out because I'm pretty sure there's some people that listen to our podcast that are guilty of this.
Uh-oh. I know what it is.
The improper use
Yep, I knew this was coming.
of scene versus saw.
It's like nails on a chalkboard for you.
It is
As it should
literal,
be.
literal nails on a chalkboard. You did not seen that. You saw it.
Right. Right.
Here's a tip for anyone listening.
Right.
This is a freebie. You know what? This is a freebie. The key is the word have.
Right.
If you have, then you seen it.
Right.
You have seen something.
Right.
If you if you don't have, you saw.
Right. Right. It makes perfect sense to me. I don't know why people struggle with this.
Yeah. You know what else well, no, that's not really like a pet peeve or like a behavioral thing.
Do you think you would break up with somebody?
I would not be remotely interested in someone if they started throwing out. You know what else is another one?
What?
Y'all.
Y'all.
If like you and I were like, go back however many years it was to that, ironically, that fall retreat camp that we met at. And I was like, oh, hey, that girl's cute.
Right.
If the second the word y'all came out of your
You'd be
mouth,
like, I'm done.
instant, no more interest.
I don't like y'all either. How about yins?
I've never heard anyone actually say yins, but
my grandma does it all the time.
Your Nana?
No, my grandma.
Oh.
It's a Pennsylvania thing.
I know it's a Pennsylvania thing. I've just never heard anyone say it. Yeah. So
there's
that's
people at work that do it.
Whole thing.
They'll say what are yins doing in here? And I'm
Oh
like,
my gosh.
what?
No, get out of here.
Right?
Go home.
No.
Go back to
I think I'd rather y'all over yins. I don't prefer either of them, but I hate yins.
this this last couple of minutes took a very strange turn from talking about Pandemonium.
People are probably listening thinking how did they even end up together? They have so many pet peeves.
They have so many complaints about the world, and
Right.
that's why we're perfect together.
Right.
Because we hate the same things in everyone.
And I use scene properly.
Yes. And okay, how do we reel this back into Pandemonium?
Pandemonium.
How do we talk about this? There was one thing that I thought that I saw, but maybe I didn't see, but we'll see.
Here, I got it. Okay. Pandemonium. You know what Pandemonium does well with? And this would be a trait that I would date somebody if they did.
Have a sense of humor.
Yes, kind of. Wordplay.
Yeah. Like,
I love a good wordplay.
Kaitlyn has this weird thing, even if it's the worst pun,
It's funny.
her joy meter goes through the roof.
I love it.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I think I love that scene with the, like, I'd recognize those legs anywhere. It's so funny to me.
For reference, they're talking about a
Dresser.
not a dresser, it's a coffee table.
A coffee table.
They're talking about
Well, they're talking about a girl.
no, it's a chest of drawers.
Chest of drawers.
I was trying to remember the furniture.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a nightstand type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "Oh, that's so and so. I'd recognize those legs anywhere." And yes, it's very funny.
It's so funny. I love it.
Do you remember in the when they're at the asylum
Mm-hmm.
talking about the guy who escaped there? Oh, there's two parts of the asylum that I like.
The mouse part.
The guy, he's walking around like a chicken.
Yeah.
And the doctor's like, "How many times have I told you? You're not a chicken. You're a cat.
You're a cat.
Now go deal with the mouse problem."
It's horrible, but also really funny.
And then when they ask the doctor at the asylum what they do in one of the rooms, he says, "Shock treatment." And it's them saying all kinds of things like, "Here's your bill."
That was very funny, too.
Yeah. So this movie, like I said, it has everything. There's a little bit of slapstick, a little bit of wordplay. Glenn Dandy, when he's killed, he's launched into the air from a trampoline off of into the sky, and he sees a plane full of Japanese tourists.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. So definitely would recommend it. I don't think that this movie would ever go on my top 10 list, but I definitely think that this movie deserves more credit than it's received.
Absolutely.
And now that it has a really it's going on your list?
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Even though
is.
it's not really like a bad movie?
Yep.
Okay. This is going to go on Kaitlyn's list, so check out... All right. This is going to go on Kaitlyn's list, so check that out within the next couple days to see where it goes on there. Uh-oh, she's got her pen out. She's putting it on there right now.
It's happening.
It is happening for reals. Now that I say this, I don't know if I ever updated our top 10 to include Nightmare Sisters. So I'll have to do that too. Note to self. And tell your friends about this movie. Go rent it. It's got a really good Blu-ray release, and it's worth the money if you are interested in it.
Go check it out. It's so good.
So next week, Kaitlyn, we're going to watch the movie Ghoulies, and we're going to talk about it next week. So go out there, watch it. I believe it's still on HBO Max to watch. It is a ripoff of Gremlins, and fun fact about it, it was filmed actually at the same time as Gremlins, but it was released much later, so everybody thought it was a ripoff, but technically it wasn't a ripoff.
Yeah.
And
it's gonna be so funny.
yes, and I can't remember if we've talked about it before on here, but it has one of our favorite plot motivators ever. So get excited for that.
Oh, I am, because I don't know what you're talking about.
You'll know what I'm talking about. So thank you for listening. As always, go hit that subscribe button, because we don't want you to ever miss an episode, because sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad. But
you'll never know.
You'll never know.
Tune in.
Plus, sometimes we might talk about a movie that you would really enjoy, even if we don't do a good job describing it or talking about it, like Pandemonium.
So go watch Pandemonium.
Go watch Pandemonium. We promise that you'll like it. And
Money back guaranteed.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. I guess we could do that. You can check us out on Instagram, where we've got some cool movie polls. And we're on Twitter, where we also have cool movie polls, but no one wants to vote in them. And we're at Journey into Film. Just drop the A and replace it with an @ sign. That was probably too confusing for people. We're at Journey into Film.
Great.
And if you want to support us, if you like our show, head over to Patreon / A Journey into Film. and you can drop a couple bucks, send a cup of coffee our way, or you can go over to TeePublic and check out some sweet t-shirts that we have, and those links are available in the show notes. And, like I always say, don't let anyone tell you that a film you enjoy is bad, because they're probably wrong.
We cannot actually offer a money-back guarantee.